Will AI video ever be perfect?
We all know AI video has come a long way in a very short amount of time.
But there's still something off about the believability of AI-generated video, especially when it comes to human likeness. So how much better is this really going to get?
Is it going to continue to rapidly improve, or will it plateau?
To find out, I sat down with the CEO of the multi-billion-dollar AI video company Runway to find out where we are in the curve of the AI video evolution, get a better understanding of the tech, and then took to the streets to ask ordinary people if they could still spot AI video.
That was the last one.
That one.
That one's real.
But first, here's the co-CEO of one of the companies defining the future of AI video.
Good to see you.
Ahead of the interview, I asked Chris to send me the most realistic video he's ever created. He sent me this fairly lifelike video based on a short story.
This is already like obsolete.
Yeah, what do you mean it's already obsolete?
I made this video in like December of last year.
It's March now and it's obsolete.
Yeah, absolutely.
But some of the textures on this, the movements and some of the faces, and depending on the light, could look a little cartoonish.
Correct.
Does it get exponentially harder now to get to that 100% like realistic?
No, so this is a great, like the notes that you have is like the greatest feedback we could get, because you need to understand in the context of how long it has taken to build this. If I showed you the version of the first ever video model in 2020, you'll be like, what am I seeing here? This is nothing. Like I can't even judge it. From it being like a very initial proof of concept of like some pixels moving on a screen, in 4 years or 5 years to be like, well, Chris, the texture on the shadow, and I'm like, that's why it's great, because like I think it's a valid feedback, right? But for me, it's like I put it in the context of like the last 4 years, and my answer is like, look, just wait for it. Like whatever you think like the model is not doing right now, wait for it. The discussion the AI, broader cultural, artistic community had 2 years ago was like, AI could never make a hand with 5 fingers, right?
Just 3 years ago, in March 2023, the internet was looking at a melting Will Smith as he ate spaghetti, fairly unimpressed. Today, anyone can make Will Smith eating spaghetti with a voice that sounds like him, and it doesn't look too far off.
The new AI tastes really good.
And now users can create their own action sequences that sometimes look like Hollywood films.
This is insane!
This scene of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, created by Irish filmmaker Rory Robinson on the Chinese platform Cdance, was one of the most hyper-realistic yet, but it also sparked massive lawsuits, and the platform isn't widely available yet. So how does all of this work, and how much better can this get?
Sometimes when I'm using these AI video tools, the hand's in frame and the hand goes down and all of a sudden it comes up and it's a claw or it's a nub. What happens when that happens? Is it just like a glitch?
So that's consistency. Like that's a solvable problem altogether, which is it happens with models and it happens to us as well. You need memory, like you need to remember things, right? A version of that might happen to a model where like, oh, what was happening where the hand was here? And the model is like, I don't remember, let me put something. And it kind of dream up with something, right? But there's ways of fixing that, and like it's just a matter of like progress altogether.
Is the goal to be as realistic as possible?
Our goal is to create something just collectively that feels like a new art form altogether. We're creating a new medium of expression. People can do things they could never done before. One of the first things we collectively do is we judge them based on the previous thing we have. The camera was the moment where people realize that you can record the world. You need to remember that before the camera, the only way you could tell a story about someone is you have to paint them, right? And what happened with the camera back then was that the way we judge it was we let painters judge it. And painters judge it through the lens of painting, right? This raw, bad image that you've created with this thing called a daguerreotype is never gonna match my painting. So is your idea to like match my style of my painting? The answer is like yes and no. So it's just a completely different thing.
While it's true AI-generated videos give users the ability to create obviously fictional worlds that were intended to bend or even abandon reality, it's the in-between worlds where artistic motivations start to get fuzzy. For me personally, I've been taking on internet detours staring at these renovation time lapses that show up on my Facebook feed. And this spectrum gets even more complicated when it's applied to current events, like the war in Iran.
Isn't that correct?
There are many videos that depict user-generated recordings from the war, like this propaganda video allegedly released on Iranian state TV depicting an Israeli city in flames. None of them look 100% real though. There's always something to give it away. But what would happen if they were fine-tuned enough just to be believable?
Theoretically, I could write a whole script, have the camera movements in there, dolly in, we see your face like this. I can like direct this equipment, and it's very exciting for me as a visual storyteller. Could this be a problem?
I think the argument of like AI is gonna flood the internet with like misinformation because people can create now synthetic videos. We've been able to create synthetic videos from like day one. Like 99% of the movies that you watch are all probably CGI or generated with like traditional visual effects. So the ability for us as a society to create hyper fantastical worlds, realistic worlds, imaginary worlds has been there. Now what now changes is like who gets to make that stuff, right? Because for me to make a Marvel movie, I need hundreds of millions of dollars. I need years and decades of experience in studios. I need a lot of resources just to be able to tell this fantastical story. Now you can tap into a similar technology to make things like that with like your computer. And I think that's just amazing. It's magical. It's insane. Are there side effects or uses that we don't want to like see with it? Of course, it's a general purpose technology. I think the discussion should be much more focused on the 99% of the use cases, not on the 1%.
You know, using something like that to make something that doesn't look like a Marvel movie, but making something that looks more realistic, like a hidden camera, like a peephole camera of something incriminating, that you don't seem to worry about. You're talking about this 99% versus 1%. That doesn't keep you up at night.
No, I mean it's something we collectively have to like work with. But again, it's not new for like the world at large. We had to deal with this in 1994 when Photoshop came around. People freaked out. They were like, what about photographic evidence for courts, right? There's ways to figure it out. You build like sensors in the metadata. With AI content, there's a similar like watermarking set of techniques, and there's ways of identifying how you make things, and they're pretty reliable.
Some platforms like Runway embed a digital watermark that shows it's AI video, but this isn't the case with all AI video platforms. A report from the New York Times that reviewed AI video from the war in Iran said these watermarks are easy to remove or obscure, and that only a few of the videos identified by the Times contain such watermarks.
The most important thing, social aspect of it, right? You become aware of how things are made, therefore you become much more contextualize that what you can see and be watching could not be real or not. Really, I actually think most of the things you start watching from now on are gonna be generated.
What is the difficulty of progressing further? How do you get there?
It's just it's an engineering problem. It's just science. Like it's just working a bit more on the problem itself.
Runway has what they call a Turing reel. It allows participants to see a real video side by side a similar AI video and asks them to pick which one is which. According to the research, humans cannot distinguish the real from the AI video over 90% of the time. Runway admits, however, that human-related videos were easier to detect. So I decided to see this for myself and create my own test. I downloaded generic-looking stock footage of older people, whose skin I thought would be a nice challenge for the models, while they were doing mundane tasks, and copied these actions into Runway and had it generate the most believable clips. Then I went to Times Square to test real people on these fake clips.
Can you guys spot the difference between AI video and real video if I show you some?
Normally, yeah.
Wow, you're really taking your time with these. What are you looking for?
I don't know.
That's AI.
Yeah.
Maybe real.
Well, it's hard to tell, but I think this one.
One more time.
I think that one's real.
I think that one's AI.
Are you guys a couple? Or?
Yeah.
All right. Don't want to be there for those arguments.
I decided to push my test subjects and ask what they thought were the characteristics of an AI video. It was interesting how their answers seemed to contradict one another.
Everything is so a bit blurry. It's too clean.
Or like too much detail.
It's mostly too polished.
She's moving weird. It's not obvious. It's too, yeah. It's not Will Smith eating spaghetti.
After 42 tests, my human subjects distinguished the correct video 62% of the time. A number I thought was still surprisingly low, but actually in line with Runway's data that showed that humans can detect AI video when it depicted human-related content 58 to 65% of the time. I called Chris for one more follow-up interview to go over the results with him.
Hey, Chris, how are you, man?
And ask why human-related AI videos are easier to spot than non-human ones.
But our participants were also able to detect human-related content 62% of the time. So what are the challenges to getting human-related content to be more indistinguishable? When do you think that that'll be closer to that 90% number?
I think that's a matter of like a couple of months at the most. I mean, some of them already cross. If you get too picky, you might be able to distinguish them.
But I think that's a timing function. That's like the six fingers like question that AI had like 2 years ago, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Where like people were like, AI will never work because it can't make a hand with 5 fingers. And I think that's just like, that's goalpost moving.
I love this idea of like, it's an engineering problem. I've decided that I'm going to steal that from my own life. My boss is like, where's that deadline? I'm just going to tell him, yo man, engineering problem, I'm working on it. If the IRS is like, why didn't you pay your taxes?